I want to start my own business. I don't want to work for anyone. Would you recommend that I just go out there, start an agency?
No, I don't think so. You should do that. And the reason being, I always wanted to start something of my own. I always dreamt of being an entrepreneur. I graduated from Srishti as an architectural designer. I enjoyed what I was doing, but I was just not content enough to pursue it for my whole career. I wanted to do something more. You should always keep doing A/B testing in your life.
You can't always just give up everything, start an agency, figure out things.
Frankly, I did not invest anything. My investment in B2B was zero.
A huge reason why their team stays together, especially during downs, is because
So how can I learn? How can a person like me learn all these things when I do not come from a business family background?
Welcome back to the You Know How podcast. As you see, we have made certain investments. We are growing steadily. So, in this episode, we are going to continue the timeline of a young person who has just graduated or come out of education in one way or another. And now we are going to talk about the intricacies of picking up the right niche for you to start an agency in. Maybe even if you should start an agency right away. These are the things we are going to address in this episode, and following other episodes as well. I would really like you guys to subscribe because we are going to talk about the certain factors that you need to keep in mind before jumping into entrepreneurship. That it's not always like the movies. You can't always just give up everything, start an agency, figure out things. It's not always like pictures. I don't know if you see that show. It's a huge thing between startup founders and all, because it's like few people who left a cozy, comfortable corporate job and just jumped into it. But yeah, it's not always like that. So get subscribed, follow along, delve into the details of starting an agency, learn with us, grow with us. Right. Coming back to the topics of this episode. So I am a small kid, young guy who's come out of college. I have come out of something simple as media. It's vague as that it is. For me, it was, I want to start my own business. I don't want to work for anyone. Is that something that, first of all, is that something that you would actually recommend? Would you recommend that I just go out there, start an agency? Just for like that.
I'm sorry, I'm having deja vu to our previous podcast.
No, what previous podcast? This is the first time we're recording this. I swear we did not do this again and again. Not learn.
No, I don't think so. You should do that. And the reason being, just right out of your college, you have just seen college life mainly, right? You have done an internship, probably you haven't done an internship. A lot of people in their third, I mean, I have done 4 years. A lot of people in their third or second year, they just drop out of college and then they start something of their own, which is not wrong and which is not something I'm saying is right as well. In my opinion, in my experience, what I've seen is, if you have an on-field knowledge, you just gain a lot more perspective towards how to go about it rather than just figuring it out when you have started an agency, right? Again, there's nothing wrong in figuring it out on site when you have started your own thing, or when you have already decided to build an agency and you have a mindset of, okay, I'll figure it out, which is fine. But I personally feel that it might take longer to achieve your goals there than having an set experience that you can gain from your any small startup that you can join. Because you are joining a startup, you can have hands-on experience on multiple things that you can actually explore as well. See, you don't want to be in a position where you have started an agency and suddenly you're like, no, I'm not able to do it, and your confidence comes down. What if you don't enjoy media field?
Yeah.
What if you enjoy design?
And I mean, even I think the biggest thing that you learn working under a startup is how do you deal with new challenges every day.
Yeah.
Even if you do pick a niche, even if you go like, okay, let's start in media, you come across people asking, do you do production? Do you do the graphic
Yeah.
design? Do you do copywriting? And these are your initial clients. So you don't want to say no to them. It's just these small things that foresight for these things is quite literally next to impossible.
I mean, I can give you my example as well. I always wanted to start something of my own. I always wanted, or I always dreamt of being an entrepreneur, right? Or I just wanted to be in a position where I could be this one person who would build something and then keep building the same thing to a level where I'm not satisfied, right? And I graduated from Srishti as an architectural designer or a public space designer. Had I started something of my own, I would have started an interior design firm or architectural firm or
Yeah.
something along that side,
Mm.
right? And I had never enjoyed doing that when I actually started a small startup, like a small architectural firm, when I actually worked there. I enjoyed what I was doing, but I was just not content enough to pursue it for my whole career.
Mm.
I wanted to do something more, right? And that's when I figured out that this is not the right direction that I want to go about. And that's where I figured out that let's jump into something else. Let's
Yeah.
try this, because this is the only try, not only, but that
Yeah.
that was there in my head, right?
Yeah.
My parents are there to support me, so that this is the only time where I can actually try something new and figure something else out for my life. And then I jumped into marketing, and where I hands on work with designing, social media marketing, as a strategist, as a copywriter as well. When you have to write your own copies, you have given, like, you are being given like a full client to handle. You are your own strategist, your own copywriter, your own designer and video editor as well.
Yeah.
Even though I would say that's a very basic level of video editing, but still you are learning a lot of things from that basic level as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you do all these things, you understand where your interest is and where you want to dive in, right?
Yeah.
And even if you're 100% sure, okay, Satvik, you are from media background and you want to start your own media firm, I still feel having some or small experience in a small startup or probably just freelance with someone. If you don't really want to join a corporate industry, or if you don't really want to join a startup, just join someone who is freelancing and looking for interns.
Mm.
There are a lot of people out there right now. Just join and understand how they deal with the clients,
Yeah.
how they deal with the invoices, how they deal with the whole cash flow, how they deal with the sending invoices, contracts, and all these things, right?
Yeah.
When you do that hands on, you understand the right way, because it's just better to avoid mistake rather than make mistake and then keep making it, right? A lot of times you just open an agency and you don't know how to fix that.
Right.
All this experience will actually tell you how to fix it. Talk to a lot more people who has actually built the agency,
Yeah.
who are working in the same niche that you want to work in. Talk to them in a way that is very transparent. Don't beat around the bush by saying just, oh, so how you doing that, how you doing this. They won't tell you. Just be like, okay, I want to open an agency, this is my dream, and since you have also opened an agency, or you own an agency, how about we have a small chat about it.
Yeah.
Right? Probably you can help me navigate the right direction. So I feel it's completely fine to join an agency or to join someone, talk to people
Yeah.
about it. But frankly, I won't suggest that you jump in directly from your college to building an agency of your own or building a studio of your own. So that's what I personally think.
Yeah. I mean, this is given that there are instances where people have
Yeah.
started their firms in college and stuff.
I mean, I
And-
personally have a lot of friends who have done it.
Right. And it you as a person looking at them want to do the same thing. But it's okay to take a more planned route to
Yeah.
these things, because starting a agency is not a small investment.
And it's
There are-
not a trend.
it's not a trend. Exactly. As it may seem right now, everyone going for self-employment and stuff, everyone taking impulsive decisions. It doesn't, you don't really see the failed stories, because that's why they failed. They're not out there. You don't, and there are so many startups that fail in whatever niche you may pick. There are about 80 to 90% startups that after the 3-year mark. So that's what I believe it said. For a startup, the 3-year mark is the most important.
Okay.
After the 3-year mark is when you know that you can sustain this for longer.
I mean, I feel like B2B or somewhere where you're serving a business, the investment is very less that you're putting in, right? I mean, again, it depends upon agency or studio to studio, people to people, how they want to proceed, right? But frankly, in comparison to D2C or a product based business, a B2B, a business to business
Hmm.
has lesser investment in terms of warehouse, products and all these things, right? There are certain level of investment that you need to do, like softwares, probably systems, but they're limited kind of investment. They are not huge investment that you have to keep putting in the money, right?
Right.
If you're putting in the money, you might get the money back instantly because you are giving some work to the client, and
Right.
from there as well you can get. So even after 3 years, I feel like even if it's going down, I personally feel that you shouldn't lose hope, but keep trying
Yeah.
new ways on how you can grow. Because again, if something worked from someone, it doesn't mean that it's gonna work for you as well,
That's very
right?
true. Yes.
You need to find your own way out. If, let's say, cold emailing worked for someone, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for us or for a third person, right? Probably for us, cold calling might work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Probably for us, very personalized emails might work.
Right.
I know it's very difficult to do personalized emails, and as one person might be only able to do 10 emails in a day, but if that's working, then why not, right? There's no, I feel you should always keep doing A/B testing in your life as well. You should keep trying new things. You should keep revising things. So, one,
You said A/B testing. Like, what does that mean?
it's like option A, option B, and you test both the options and see
Okay.
which one works better for you.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Please.
So let's say you, even in lead generation or sales, right? Option A could be your cold emailing. Option B could be a very personalized emails.
Right.
And probably cold emailing is something that might not work for 1 month, 2 months, but you shouldn't lose hope there as well, right? You should keep doing it for 3 to 4 months to see actual results. And if it's not working, try personalized email, probably like alternate days as cold emailing, or just try it like 2 months cold emailing, 2 months personalized emailing. That's what A/B testing means, right?
Right.
And in paid marketing, A/B testing has a much huger value because you can, like, people mainly talk about A/B testing in that niche, right? But
So paid marketing is where you boost your post by giving money to platforms where you boost your content and make
yeah,
it
it's like a
reach
very
a higher
basic
audience.
definition to what, like, yeah, it's what it is,
Right.
right? I mean, there's a lot of other things in paid marketing, but that's like
Okay.
the,
We'll definitely pick up on this in later episode.
I mean, I
think
don't know what.
because there's a huge difference between paid and organic marketing. People really underestimate organic marketing because paid marketing gives you immediate results and they skip out on the long-term
But
effects.
it
So I
can
think
take out your results as well when you stop
exactly. So
paid
it's
marketing.
it's a whole another episode that I want to dive deep into. So we'll definitely pick this up on a later
Right.
episode.
Right.
But yes, please continue. So what you're saying is that uh, getting experience joining a pre-made agency, joining another startup, and learning under the people gives you as a person experience to try out different things, try things that work for you,
It
try
gives
things
you
that
a
not work
new
for you.
perspective.
It gives you a whole new perspective, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when you're in college, you have this fire to, yeah, you want to do everything. You want to be a musician also, you want to be a dancer also, you want to be a media person also, you want to own an agency. You wanted to be a cardiologist, and that is something that you will go tell everyone. मेरा तो dream ये था, but मैं यहाँ पे आ गया because it's cool, right? At that point also, I feel like the media agency, that whole designing trend was again going on. I feel like,
Yeah.
even though I didn't know it was a trend, I got to know when I joined my college, right?
Right.
So I feel a lot of people, I think 50% of us just run behind the trend, which shouldn't be the case. And I feel that's the reason why a lot of people get demotivated just when they start an agency, because they don't know that it's okay to fail for the first year, second year, third year. It's okay to not grow your agency from point A to point Z. It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's just growing from point A to point B. It's
Right.
completely fine. Even if you're working with only 2 people for the first 2 years also, it's completely fine. Your journey is very different from the journey of the second person that probably you are following on social media or following anywhere else. But see, on social media also, you are seeing their very nice flourished journey, right?
Yeah.
I think even I used to do the same thing. When I started this, I understood that how much hardship, how much pain, sweat, tears, and laughter goes into starting an agency, right? And it's not, every day cannot be a happy day, every day doesn't have to be a sad day, right? And we both experience that with like each other work as well.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with one of my friend, and everyone asked this question, how's your business going,
Right.
right? And you fear answering so honestly that what if he judges me, or what if she judges me, right? Even to your closest friend you won't open up and say, yeah, it's fine right now, we are going a little down, we are going a little up, and it's growing slowly. Why? We don't really have to fear, right? It's okay if you're growing slowly.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to be demotivated.
That's very
When
right.
we started, we grew pretty fast, and in the middle it was like a straight line, right? And we were growing, but it was very slow progress. But also during that slow progress, we focused on our content, we focused on a lot more other things, like we focused on our skill set, we focused on how we can grow our skill set to meet the right clientele that we want, or meet the right target audience for us, right? So why not do these things when you don't have that much?
When you don't have a lot of client work,
Yeah, so
when
you focus
you
on
don't have a lot of
upskilling.
inflow in cash and stuff.
Yeah, but like you obviously focus on upskilling when you don't have that much of clientels coming in, or again that much cash flow coming in, because yeah, that's important to
Right.
sustain, but also it's important to upskill.
That's very true, and I 100% agree with that. A lot of people that start a business, they go into panic mode the moment
Yeah,
client in like incoming clients is low, and current clients are also being, little picky, choosy, whatever,
that's
little
where cash
troublesome to
flow
deal
comes in,
with.
right? How important.
Exactly. So
And your startup actually teaches you about cash flow.
yeah, I think this is something which a person needs to plan for. A lot of this, what if I start a startup 3 years down the line, I face these kind of, no, not even 3 years, 1 year down the line, I face these kind of issues. So when I'm investing in the beginning, when I'm putting in money, I need to plan for these things, because I think planning is
I'll tell you
extremely
what,
important.
okay? Okay, let's take your example,
Right.
okay? Just right out of college, had you started an agency, would you know what exactly cash flow is?
No.
Would you actually know that you should at least maintain 11 months of cash flow if you have a team of minimum of 5 to 6 people?
I know things like cash reserve, cash flow, and what's
See, that's
important.
exactly what I'm
Yes.
saying. Now you know a little more after working at certain startups that you have worked in your past,
Yeah.
right? And even working here, now you understand when you're actually 20% again in operations, right?
Right.
You are handling some sort of you are handling limited operations, but
Right.
you're still handling some part of operations. But I also speak to you a lot about cash flow and doing this, that, these, those. So these kind of conversation actually helps you understand how important it is to gain experience before just jumping onto
That's very
something.
true.
And it's completely okay if you want to jump into something, but then you shouldn't lose the keenness of upskilling and understanding things. You shouldn't just focus on, अरे 10 clients लेके आने जल्दी जल्दी लाओ ताकि 10,000 आए, और you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't run behind money
Yeah.
for the clients. You should run behind how to grow this in a way that it sustains. That small duration wala happiness won't give you anything. That's a very monetary happiness, that if I'm putting it in the right way, it's a monetary happiness that you cannot sustain,
Right.
so a lot of people can like they do know a lot more when they're in college itself, because they come from a business family, because they come from a family where they talk about cash flow, all these things. But I don't really come from a business family, right? Even though I had heard these conversation about cash flow, money management at my home, but it's not directly related to business. So how can I learn, how can a person like me learn all these things when I do not come from a business family background?
Right.
I can only learn from joining a startup, understanding and talking to probably the owner or the founder of that startup, right? And it's not like they won't help you out. It's not like they won't talk to you about all these things. They can. If you actually have questions, if you ask them, they will help you out.
So what you're saying is that you would say that it's a wiser decision to actually go under someone, work for a bit, learn from them, also try out things that you would like, not like, see the kind of problems that exist out there, what the solutions to them are, and how you can go about finding solutions. So you actually do learn a lot from working under someone for just a year, and that's
Yeah, and you
amazing.
make intelligent choices of how you want to
Right.
build your own agency or your own studio, right? What if you get a different idea on how you can build it, right?
Right.
What if you don't want to provide photography and videography service only? What if you want to probably like marry photography or videography or media with technology, right? AI, it's the AI's world right now,
Right.
right? So how do you bring that in so that you can always stay up to date?
Now that I have gained some experience, I have learned from someone, I come across this decision that should I, let's say I work in tech, right? Um, let's say I work in tech, should I actually start a service based industry or a product based industry?
I mean, it's pretty clear because you have a certain skill set that you refined over
Exactly.
the time,
Exactly.
because you just did not come out of college not knowing or understanding which skill you have or which skill you should pick
Pick
up.
up.
You already have that small experience that you can you already have that small experience where you understand that this is the skill that you want to pick up. After that, it becomes pretty easy for you,
So,
right, to understand how, what, and where do you want to build
right,
your studio or yourself into, right?
right,
Because it's not an agency or studio you're building,
right.
it's you are building,
So,
right?
a lot of these answers, lot of things about whether should I do this or whether should I do that, the answers lie within yourselves, the answers lie within your past, and you need to trust your experience.
Yeah.
You need to, even if some decisions might seem little wobbly, if you don't really, like for me for example, I don't really trust what the university has taught me, so do I actually go off building of my
I mean,
experience on that
frankly,
on?
just trust the process of upskilling. And I'll
Trust the
give you a
process,
very,
very
very
important.
good example. I came across, so I was trying to learn how to drape sari,
Right.
and I came across this person called Dolly Jain, and she's an expert sari and dupatta draping. Okay, and just guess how much she charges for one drape. Just guess.
70 because based.
Somewhere around 2 lakh for one drape, and she's
Damn.
an expert, right? So this is a clear understanding of the live example of, if you skill at one skill and if you stick to it and if you keep upskilling, there's nothing less or more or not according to what is going or not according to trend. Just believe in your skill
So,
set, just believe in your passion, believe in what you really want to do and what you enjoy, because
right,
until and unless you enjoy it, you cannot upskill and you won't have that willingness to put that extra edge towards upskilling that skill, right?
right,
And there are multiple example out there for you like that.
right. So I think you sort of summed up the answer in three perfect words in between there, where you said trust the process, see where the process takes you. This is something that I've specially picked up in terms of photography, videography. Things don't start looking great, you just need to trust the process.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere the same principle applies to entrepreneurship at a greater scale. You just need to trust the process, trust yourself, these answers you'll get.
Yeah, but I also know a lot of people just sit and think that अच्छा हमारा भी टाइम खराब चल रहा है,
Yeah.
प्रॉब्ली 1 महीने बाद हमारे नक्षत्र
So
सही हो जाएंगे, our stars will align, and then
so
everything,
they'll just
unless and
chill.
until you actually work towards
Yeah.
this, nothing's gonna work, okay?
They'll just
There is no
maja.
silver or golden spoon in
I mean,
entrepreneurship.
some people are just born with a
and
golden spoon.
and entrepreneurship is not a golden it's not a heaven.
Yeah.
It's not heaven, okay? You have to cross those, you have seen in that Tom and Jerry episode, no, to reach heaven you have to cross those 20,000 steps. It's
Yeah.
exactly like that,
Yeah.
right? Probably it's very shiny, bright from outer skin, but when you actually dig deep into it, there's so many things that you're not seeing. A person is successful after actually crossing each and every step
That's very true.
and after learning from each and everything, right? Unless and until you're open to learning, unless and until you're open to upscaling, unless and until you're very much open to talking to people and let them just talk to you and you listen,
Right.
right? When you listen, you learn, and that's what I have learned, because I was not a patient. I don't know, I'm still not, I'm not a patient person. Okay, I really have to force myself to be patient. I really have to a lot of time force myself to listen to you as well, right? But I feel that's what your learning brings you to, right? And even you would have noticed, now I listen to you very patiently. Okay, Sathik is saying something, let's just hear him out and then let's just say. Otherwise, I'm very fast with my opinions, right?
Right.
Even though if it's wrong or right, I don't care. I want to put out my opinion like that. But yeah, I mean, it's not all bright, shiny, and
not.
everything, and you shouldn't just come into it looking at the outer picture. Dig deep into it and decide if you actually want to do it. And it's completely okay to work under a firm or an agency or a startup. Probably you'll earn more than what you would earn in an entrepreneurship.
Definitely will for the first few years.
Yeah. Like if you work for 2 years, you might earn 75,000 to 80,000, and in entrepreneurship, you might not even get anything because you are working hard to pay your clients, or sorry, you're working
Employees.
hard to pay your employees
Right.
or your team, right? And there you are saving the cost by not paying yourself so that you can maintain that cash flow.
Right. I think that's very true. So now I'm gonna lead us to a bit more of a technical part, because this field, this place, I don't know, it's such a wide field, but it has a lot of technical terms. The technical part where I would lead you to is the distinction between a B2B and a B2C business. I know. This is something that we learned in school in social studies, but let's be honest, not a lot of us were paying attention. Why I ask you this is because you are someone who is currently right in the process of setting up a B2C business. You have successfully started a B2B business, and you have spent the previous 5 years serving both those clients. So according to you, what is the biggest difference between these two?
I think I would start by busting this myth that people have is B2B business is difficult to grow and sustain than D2C business.
Is it so?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you need to invest more in that.
Okay.
And I don't think that's the case. Probably it depends on business to business, but I don't really think that's the case. Because in D2C, you need to take care of a lot of things. R&D, getting approvals, getting certified, warehouse, number of products, taking care of, if you get bulk orders, then what?
Right.
You need to have that much money as well to ship that much bulk orders. And what if you don't get any orders? What about your warehouse? What about your warehouse also? And what about the products that you already have made? Because a lot of D2C business have expiry dates on their products, right?
Okay, right.
Not on their
Shelf
products,
life,
I think they have
yes.
shelf life, right? So if that goes off, then it's a loss for you, right? But for B2B business, I don't see a loss similar to D2C business. Right? You invest in something, we invest in softwares, we use it, right? We invest in PCs, systems, right? We use it. And it's an investment. If it does not work out, you can always sell it and get it back.
Right.
Get probably 20% less or something, but still you're getting certain amount back, right? And it's not too much of investment into B2B. Frankly, I did not invest anything. My investment in B2B was zero. Absolutely zero when
Especially
I started
when
Crafted.
we were like starting off, right? Yes.
I think starting 6 months, it was zero.
Yeah.
Complete zero, because we were not doing production. We were completely doing just social media. And in that, we didn't have to invest anything.
I think
So for us, when we started, our investment was just probably 2,000 per month.
yeah.
That was
for
our
softwares.
investment. Yeah. Software and a small kharcha here and there, okay? And obviously the team salary, right?
Yeah.
Apart from that, I don't see any payment that I would have made. And that payment also is something that's very small for a brand that you're envisioning to build,
Right. I
right?
mean,
It's
service.
absolutely it's like almost negligible.
Right. I mean, even service-based agencies, you can just start with like another person for
Yeah.
safety reasons if you want that safety net, because one single person's salary, if you're not even getting clients, it's easier to pay that off. And while I would say it is unethical, we recently went to a networking event where we had a problem statement about
Right.
cash flow and paying salaries and stuff. And one of my teammates, what he suggested was that one thing that they do to be smart with their planning is they hire a person who can do 8 tasks, and they give them 10 tasks with incentive of more money or like just appreciation in general. So personally, I've been in startups that do that. They little overwork you.
But did
It
they pay you
is
extra?
They did not pay me extra. So, and it's not even something that ethically you should do.
I
But I
mean,
would
see,
say if you're in a startup, so I think a workaround, long story short, if what my suggestion would be, if you're in a startup and if you have the dire need of having someone work a little bit overtime, give them a bonus, give them some sort of incentive to work towards, so even they are invested in
I
doing
think the
that task.
perfect way to do is to have a open and clear cut communication that we both have maintained
Agreed.
with our team,
Yes.
right? Good, bad, anything. Very open and clear cut, transparent communication always solves everything. That's
Exactly.
what I believed in, will believe in, and will keep believing it, right?
A huge person, like the same person actually told me that a huge reason why their team stays together especially during downs, is because when that company is making profit, when that company is doing great, their
Employees
employees
also
also
feels
get
the same.
benefit of it.
Yeah.
They also get bonuses.
Yeah.
you know just it doesn't have to be just Diwali bonus or this
Yeah.
holiday bonus. They
Yeah.
actually, the month of February went well, they get a bonus.
Yeah. I mean,
So
frankly, a company cannot run without the team.
yeah,
It
you
can,
need to appreciate your team.
yeah, and you are not working.
Yeah, we deviated, but okay.
You are not the only one working, right? Your team is working towards your client's project or anything else
Right.
like that. And if that team is not there, you cannot handle that client project alone.
So I think the biggest unifying factor between B2B and B2C is appreciate your team no matter what.
But also that B2B can grow faster than D2C.
That
That
would be
a
a
lot of
differentiating
people,
factor, right?
yeah, a
Yes.
lot of people feel that it's opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people, and a lot of people think service business nahi nahi bahut mushkil hai, nahi chalega. But you know how much planning a D2C business need? It needs more planning than a B2B business. A lot of people can still come into B2B without planning and still figure it out. Wala, like they can still have that figure it out attitude and still make it work if they have that passion for it, right? And if they had that patience and consistency. But with D2C, you cannot just figure it out. If you're a single, let's talk about skincare, right? If a single ingredient goes wrong, gone, right? Like
Yeah.
what like I
And
don't think so if
especially with
there's
social
anything.
media,
Yeah.
D2C has become quite of a bit of a minefield to
Yeah.
walk your way through,
Yeah, to navigate.
right? But I think that sort of circles back to our first discussion where you said that gaining experience is important.
It's so important, and
And
researching is so
researching
important.
is so important. We recently saw the Nikhil Kamath podcast with the founder of Mama
Yeah.
Earth, in
Ghazal.
Ghazal, and she mentioned how much time it took for them to start selling just a few products.
Yeah, and it would have taken so much time
They
in
went into
R&D
R&D.
itself.
Oh my God.
And for a B2B business, you don't really have to spend that much
Right.
time because you gain an experience in
Yeah.
probably a startup 6-month experience, and then you can
Most
cut to
B2B
start your
businesses even sign up with a different manufacturer. They
Yeah.
have different entity altogether taking care of
B2B
the
or D2C.
B2B is in and a large
Why do
scale
you need a manufacturer for B2B?
manufacturer, if you're in B2B, I feel if there are a lot of facets of B2B, if you're someone who
See,
is
now I'll just clear
yeah,
one
yeah, tell
thing.
me. Yes.
B2B can also be a product based brand, right? And
Okay.
in that same thing, again, you need the same R&D, like the
Hmm.
whole system again, right? Now, if you're just if it's a service based brand where you're providing a service like content creation, just a consultation, for these things probably doesn't require that much investment again. But if it's a B2B, again, let's say you make honey, okay, and it's directly going to a business, to a restaurant you're making it for, then it becomes a B2B, but a product based B2B.
Okay.
Again, the product you're making, it still requires a proper R&D and how to go about it, who to sell, who's your target audience. It still requires the same amount of investment and efforts. You still need to either set up your manufacturing unit or production unit, or you need to join hands with someone else, or as a manufacturer or a production person,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So both B2B and D2C has like the product niche and service based niche,
Right.
right? You just, the service based niche is something that I'm talking about, is a little easier to grow when it's compared to product niche,
Hmm.
because it has less investment, it's little less time taking in terms of the, I mean, frankly, both are time taking, but it's just more process oriented, more planning, more research, more development there, and
Right.
you need to be very on point with it. Here, even if you make mistake with one content creation or with one client, it's okay, you learn it,
Learn
you
and
move
all.
on to the next one. But with this, yes, you learn it, you move on to the next product, but that trust that you would have lost with that one product, it's very difficult to build it up again.
Right.
And that's where these service based or the we come in, right?
Yeah.
That how we can help you build that trust with the consumer.
That's, I think, perfectly summed up. Um, so I would just give a quick recap for this entire episode. We first started by discussing that if you're someone who's just come out of their education and has this aspiration of starting an agency, should you just jump into it? Should you wait, gain some experience, then start? Where we determined that it was a wiser choice to gain some experience under someone, either a mentorship or actually just get employed by someone and learn whether you like something, whether you don't like something, learn certain skills like social skills, working with someone, get some money in your pocket for a backup plan, and then you take a call if you actually want to start a business in that particular niche under what you like. And then we moved on to the second segment where we were discussing the differences between a B2B and a B2C business. We also briefly discussed the difference between a service and a product based industry. I think the conclusion there was that to take that decision, you need to trust yourself, you need to trust the process, and you need to trust the experience that you have. You can easily take a call on where you want to go from there. And for B2B and B2C, uh, you mentioned that while there is a myth that growing a B2C business is faster than a B2B business, it's not really true. It's majorly dependent on your passion, on your knowledge, and your willingness to go through something, especially when it goes wrong. I think that is what grows a business. That is what determines the success of a business. No other factor. If you're slow on clients, it's okay. Calm down, upskill yourself, focus on internal issues. Why are there no more clients? Work on those, then you'll get the clients back. If there are money issues, again, calm down. You don't have to give up on a startup.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe in the other myth where it is famously said, okay, 3-year mark is the mark for a startup if it's gonna run or not. That's not particularly true in every case. It's dependent on your passion
Yeah.
and your determination to go through it.
Willingness. What people have in mind when it comes to B2B, D2C, or product, service, whatever, they have this key प्रोडक्ट ही तो बनाना है, बना देते हैं.
Right.
अच्छा, कंटेंट ही तो बनाना है, बना देते हैं, राइट? अ लॉट ऑफ दीज, इवन when I meet the entrepreneurs or when I speak to these people who are building brands, they'll think ठीक है content ही तो है, graphic बना के डाल देते हैं, and when it doesn't do good, they're just like कि नहीं चल रहा. But that's the reason why they're professionals out there, right? Why they have actually put that much of time and effort to building something of their own, and why they are coming to you and telling you that this is not working, probably you should do this and take our help and we will make sure it'll work, right? So having this whole notion कि product ही तो बनाना है, बना देते हैं, ठीक है, it's by हाथ का खेल, that's not true, right? वो जो बना देते हैं product never grows, right? अरे कंटेंट एक डिज़ाइन ही तो बनाना है, पैकेजिंग ही तो है, 2000 में कर दो, बना देते हैं, that also never grows, that never stands out in the market, right? So having this notion in your head कि अरे एक फ़ोटो ही तो खींचनी है, फ़ोन से फ़ोटो खींच लेंगे, it'll be fine, that notion is so wrong in people's head, even in a lot of entrepreneurs that I speak to, that you cannot, I genuinely don't know how to break it. All I can say is like, okay, so why haven't you tried it yet? Is like, okay, so if you try it, let's see if it works, and we are always there available on the call in case you need our help again.
It's okay to trust professionals to do their job. There is a reason why certain brands are successful at something,
Yeah,
right? There are algorithms that come into play. There are certain complexities that come into play even behind posting a simple सा reel कि पैकेज खोला, प्रोडक्ट निकाला, कंज्यूम किया, मस्त सा रील बन गया. ऐसे नहीं चलता. So trust professionals to do their job right. Trust professionals to do their job right. अगर resources हैं तो वहाँ डालो, वहाँ से result आता है, बस just be patient. And yeah, I think this has been a great episode. I think काफ़ी knowledgeable है, काफ़ी tidbits निकलेंगे इसमें से. So make sure you subscribe and follow for more episodes, for more knowledgeable tidbits. Make sure you subscribe and follow for more episodes, and we'll see you in the next one.